guys, welcome back to We Watched a Movie. I am Mike, and I did just film this entire video before I realized that the audio was all screwed up. So it's going good. How are you guys doing? The number one movie on Netflix right now in America, I don't know about the world, probably should have looked that up beforehand, is a serial killer movie. So in October, that's pretty cool. I thought I would watch it, give a review for it. And it's crazy because Netflix bought this for $11 million, which blows my mind because it really plays off like one of those movies you would have found at Blockbuster back in the day that had like one name title. It's like Dahmer, Gacy, whatever. One of them actually stars Jeremy Renner. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Some fly-by-night directed DVD, kind of before true crime was in like this huge thing where streamers and podcasts, and it just before true crime was a huge thing. They would come out and everybody was kind of ashamed of it. Like, this feels sort of wrong. We're just going to put it on video, and that way nobody will make too big of a fuss about it when we do it. But now we're like, sensationalize it. Do it all. I don't care, Greg. Come on over, my wife, do whatever. It's fine. But it plays kind of like that, this one does. Now, this is based on a true story, okay? And it's Anna Kendrick who did this, who's directing this in her directorial debut. It's like, you would think Anna Kendrick, you know, Pitch Perfect, whatever. She was great in The Accountant, by the way. Underrated movie with Ben Affleck, if you haven't seen it. Based on a true story of a serial killer, Rodney Alcala. I don't know if I'm saying his name right or not, but honestly, fuck that guy. One of the main problems is in the movie is what happened with this person is way more fascinating than what the movie actually says. When you go look it up after, you're like, why didn't you include that in the movie? It's like, because we spent 30 minutes of the movie telling this story, which I'll get to that shortly for sure. But no, this guy murdered 7 women and up to 130 women. They're not sure. So, and that's so weird how that happens with serial killers, isn't it? Like, you see that at the end of almost every documentary. It's like, well, we watched him murder 9 people. They got him for shoplifting and for back-talking his mother, but they used that to put him away somehow for life. But it is rumored that he did kill 374 men, women, children, and prostitutes. I don't know why prostitutes had to be put in a separate category. They're still humans for sure. And my point is this, that I don't know why they do that. That's so weird to me, like how the world works. But you got to get somebody on one crime or another, put them away, whatever. Anyways, definitely 7 people, up to like 103 or something like that, or 130, I can't remember. Really wide gap in those numbers. But the story of this guy is, and what this movie's about, and the cover looks just like Late Night with the Devil, which has you immediately paying attention to it or whatever. But what's also fascinating about this guy is that this serial killer was on the 1970s show The Dating Game, which is a super popular dating game show back in the day. But you remember Mallrats, you know, like Suitor Number One, like that game exactly. That movie is basically, that idea was based on The Dating Game. Burt Reynolds was on it, Sally Fields was on it. There was a bunch of people, it was a big deal back in the 70s. A bunch of people watched that shit. Loved it. Like Lost today or Rescue 911 or did I detect a 9er in there? And it just so happens that this serial killer was on the show as a dating contestant, which is a wild thing. A serial killer who likes to torture and murder women, and not just torture and murder them, but to play with them. Like he would strangle them until they pass out and wake them back up just to do it again, like multiple times, like one of those real sick fucks. Not, I mean, every serial killer's a sick fuck, but like just that little bit extra sick fuckaroni. The movie somehow doesn't tell the most interesting side of either of these things. It's told in non-linear fashion. It's told in lawn care. It's told in non-linear fashion where you'll see this guy doing some of the deeds that he did, and then you'll meet her, and then it'll all wrap around the show. And it's still super easy to follow because there's not a whole lot going on here. It's just told in a weird fashion. And I think the biggest problem with the movie is, honestly, again, they stay away from the most interesting things, and they spend time on this Anna Kendrick character, and they make her the focal point of it. I get the idea, like, hey, let's not glamorize the killer or anything like that and follow him around, but everything you can accuse a movie of like that for doing, the movie still does anyway. And they spend so much of their time, and I'm just going to say it to you, whereas all of this stuff is so obvious, and it did happen, yes. There were a lot of male serial killers back in the day, especially in the 70s. There was a lot of other men in law enforcement not believing women, letting people get away with this shit. It was a bad thing. It's a terrible, bad thing, but it's a bad thing all on its own. The viewer can watch this happen and go, that guy was a piece of shit. That guy was a piece of shit. Maybe if that guy believed her, then he wouldn't be a piece of shit. But the movie instead, because it's 2024, does do some of that ham-fisted, like, everything with a dick is bad and will kill you. So stay away from dicks. Like, every single dude in this movie is a huge piece of shit, and they smack you in the face with it, you know? But there's a scene with her and this dude that lives, it's her friend who lives in her apartment complex, who's also a struggling actor, who wildly enough is played by the college humor Batman. I can't remember the dude's name, but he was the dude that, you guys saw the skits back in the day where he's like, where were the other drugs going? That guy has like a serious role in this movie, and I think that's amazing. Anyway, but the rest of the movie, you see the serial killer walk around, and, you see him use his photography and whatever to get women to come back with him or to get him alone. And you see the starts of what he's about to do to them. The camera always cuts away right when it gets to the violent parts of it. And in doing so, like, I don't need to see it by any means, especially not the sexual stuff that goes on. I always hate when movies do that if it's not necessary, for sure. Again, just like with the other stuff, no need to be heavy-handed, Rob Zombie. We get it. We know that you love to simulate rape scenes. I don't need to watch them, though, Rob. I don't. So, yeah. They always cut away. But the way they do it almost makes it come across as sort of Lifetime movie-ish. I don't really know how to explain it. Like, it does. They give you those uncomfortable moments where you watch the serial killer find his prey and pull them in. And we watch this happen over and over again to these women. And then we'll pan back to Anna Kendrick's character, who's like, I'm a strong woman, but none of these guys will take me serious, but I'm on this dating show, and now look how witty I am. And it's like, did the story really need that at all? Like, I don't think, she was great in the movie, and she did a great job directing it, but like, I just don't think the story needed to focus on this character. Everything else going around is so much more visceral and interesting. The fact that the serial killer has made his way to this stage and is sitting here, her character's interesting as well, but not in the way that the movie portrayed her and the way that the movie tried to do this. But the movie even realizes that too, and it just kind of goes, oh, that happened, and well, I guess we should talk about the serial killer again. But his story, if you look it up, is so much more interesting than what they showed here. But this guy gets arrested, gets let out on bail. Who the hell lets a murderer out on bail, by the way? Shit like that used to happen all the time. Let him out on bail. He murders a 12-year-old and a woman. They get him back in jail again, and this crazy motherfucker decides that he wants to represent himself, as a lot of these psycho serial killer nut bar salads do. You're not a messiah, you're a fucking movie of the week. What movie is that from? Comment down below. That's a great one. But yeah, he represents himself. But not only that, he sits on the witness stand and does double voices. He does one voice for the prosecutor and one voice as him as the witness. And just, yeah, the jury took about 15 seconds to decide that this piece of shit was guilty. And then all that stuff happened or whatever. But there's just so much more stuff about this story that are more interesting than what the movie does. And the movie just kind of plays out as a ho-hum, direct-to-DVD serial killer true crime story that doesn't ever really show anything. It doesn't have a lot of teeth to it. It's uncomfortable. It's well done, but it's just not dynamic enough. And the TV show was just kind of there. It's something that happened. They couldn't really sensationalize that moment enough to really hone in on how weird it was that this was happening. So it was a perfectly serviceable, like, made-for-TV feeling movie at the end of the day. If you've seen one of these movies, you've seen a bunch of them. I just don't feel like they use the dynamic of what actually happened to make this stand out in any way. So for me, it's just above average. I'll give it a 5.5. I thought it was fine. I thought it could have been way better though, and a super crazy wild story. So if you don't know the story at all, it's definitely worth watching if you're just bored and hanging out, for sure. I don't think it's a bad film by any means. I just think it could have been so much better. And probably like the first review I filmed for this was, but piece of shit technology, fucking piece of doo-doo head asshole. Anyways, we're going to be doing more videos here. I started to watch a movie called Carved on, that's my chair. I need to get some fucking WD-40 for sure. But I watched Carved on Hulu, couldn't make it through 20 minutes. The comedy was just so awkward and terrible. I was just like, I don't want to watch this. So I flipped this one on. Been watching Hysteria with Bruce Campbell. That's a horror show on Peacock you should totally watch. Gonna have a review up for that for sure. And again, just want to remind you guys, if you're on the Patreon and you can sign up for this tier for free in the link below, Saturday night we're watching The Exorcist. We're doing a drinking game. It's gonna be a blasty blast. So check that out. And then for everyone, next Wednesday, all day long, we're streaming for 8 hours. We're watching every Final Destination movie early Wednesday afternoon into the night as on Halloween Eve. So make sure you check that out this Wednesday. And yeah, make sure you subscribe and have the notifications clicked on so that you get more reviews and notified of all this shit. And I love your all's fucking faces, all right? What are you going to do on October 31st?
What are you gonna do on October 31st?
Here comes that white-faced fucker, an asshole like no other. He's a big old piece of shit. Wants to stab your sister's tits cause he's a white-faced fucker. Loomis can't recover. Dr. Challenge drunk again, sleeping with your sister's friends.
Do you wanna know about the darkness?
I said, goddamn.
Goddamn you, Michael!
I said, goddamn.
A lot of people don't know the darkness that goes inside their hearts.
I said, goddamn.
Goddamn you, Michael!